very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. You are joining us live from Studio R here in Colombo. I'm Jamal Ratnayaka for the Newsfirst team. Good evening, Amavi.
Good evening. I'm Amavi Banugoda. Let's start off by taking a look at the stories that made your headlines this evening.
Inclement weather affects several parts of the island. Fishermen cautioned. Sajid presents his youth policy. A new program named Sri Lanka First. Gotabaya addresses residents of the north, promises a new future. Andhra Disanayaka's youth policy.
පාන්දර පහට නැගිටලා හතට බස් එකට නැගලා අටට කාර්යාලයට ගිහිල්ලා හතර හමාරට වැඩ පහට බස් එකට නැගලා හතට ගෙදර ඇවිල්ලා පැය දෙකක් ටීවී එක බලලා ආයේ නිදාගෙන පහුවදා යන මේ විසම චක්‍රේ මේ රටේ තරුණ පරම්පරාව අපි හිර කරන්නේ නැති බවත් මම ඔබට සහ
Ranjan's questions for Gotabaya Rajpaksa.
The political arena in the country is certainly heating up with the presidential election right around the corner. Now we are joined by Charlene Benedict for an update on the political situation of the country.
Thank you very much, Jaimal. Now, a very good evening to all our viewers out there and welcome to the Newsfirst News Centre. With a few short weeks left for the presidential election, presidential candidates are hitting the campaign trail hard. And of course, we here at Newsfirst have got lined up a comprehensive update on the activities of all these leading presidential candidates for you tonight. Up first, presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Sajid Premadasa, today unveiled his youth charter to the general public.
The event, which was held ceremoniously, was attended by a large number of youth. Presidential candidate Sajid Premadasa coming to a social agreement with the youth was the highlight of today's event. 14 main points and many sub-points including diversity and social integration, respecting the privacy of the youth, participation of the youth in state administration and decision-making, education and skill development, reducing poverty, sustainable livelihood and employment of the youth was contained in the charter. According to the social contract that we make as the president of the country, within the first 3 months, I promise to provide the maximum support needed for the youth of this country by formulating laws in parliament. Through this charter, we will put on a legal footing policies for you to embark on whatever social, economic or political path that you want to go to, or go to the peak of any sector that you want. We will make your strength the strength of the country and make it a cornerstone in the development of this country. The responsibility of this charter is to allow you to take up leadership in our country's journey to development. I would like to tell you that I have no intention of becoming a president that will enjoy the luxuries at the expense of the money of taxpayers of our country. I would like to state that we will completely put a stop to the era where duty-free vehicles were brought down for the president and the leaders of the country.
රටේ ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ ඉඳලා රටේ පාලකයන්ට ගෙන්වපු ඒ කාලයට අපි තිත තබනවායි කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
Now, meanwhile, presidential candidate Sajid Premadasa also took to social media platform Twitter today to express his policy on women empowerment. His tweet reads, quote, "More than half of adolescent girls in Sri Lanka miss school when on their periods according to UNICEF. impacting girls' education. Our government reduced a 100% levy on sanitary products to 63%, but thousands of women still suffer stigma and put themselves at risk every month. It further adds, quote, "I will not shy away from this conversation. If we are serious about women's empowerment, this is a basic place to begin. Until sustainable, cost-effective alternatives are found, I stand by my promise to provide sanitary hygiene products for free," unquote. Sajid Premadasa in his tweet also states, quote, "I remain committed to women's rights. I will wear the hashtag Padman label proudly. In my view, it is certainly preferable to being the hashtag man with the van," unquote. Now moving on in more political news, presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, conducted his political campaign in the northern province today.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa received a warm welcome when he arrived in Vavuniya.
We are not the people who started the war. We are the ones who ended it. We would like to tell the Tamil people living in this region that some people are conspiring to make you live in the past. I am showing you the future. After independence, for 70 years, different leaders representing different parties gave you false promises and lied to you and took your votes. I have presented a plan through which we can develop this region, give jobs to the youth, provide them with a wholesome education and provide you with better lives. Because of the situation that prevailed in this region, no government could develop this area, but under our government, we began that development. This government has done nothing to take forward that development. You all know, after the situation that prevailed, we took steps to rehabilitate those people. We carried out the best rehabilitation program in the world. We reintroduced them to society. We had them join the civil defense force. We began industries. We strengthened the private sector. In the future as well, we intend to grow the industries in this region while strengthening the private sector and providing them with the required facilities. We will initiate programs to train people and equip them with the skills required to work at these factories. We invested a large sum of money in this region for its development in the past. We can continue that development program. Your problems can only be solved through development.
Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the rally afterwards.
You know that during the past 5 years, this government did not serve the people in this region like we did. You have not received your deeds. This government failed to provide you with your deeds for your lands. There has been no program to provide compensation for the people who disappeared during the war. You also know what happened to the reservoirs. This is what happened to Sri Lanka. We will take up the responsibility of providing solutions to these issues you face in getting clean water.
ඉපෝතු ඉන්න නාටිල් එල්ලේ මම තමුන්නාන්සේලාට දෙවිඩ භාෂාවෙන් කතා කරන්න හැදුවා ටිකක් පැටලෙනවා ඒකින්ද මම සිංහලෙන්ම කතා කරන්න.
This was the response of an individual who was present at the rally.
මිනිස් පෞර සදනා රට දය සදාම විත කරන්නට දුර දැක්මෙන් සිතනා.
Afterwards, Gotabaya Rajapaksa addressed a rally organized at the Jaffna town.
The people in Jaffna are not strangers to me. We did everything that was required to bring development to this region and establish democracy. The TNA party completely accepted the responsibility of the people in this region. The TNA supported the United National Party to establish their government. So instead of speaking about the issues of the people in this region, they supported the government and raised their hand for every wrong move that government made. In reality, the TNA or Vigneshwaran were not affected by this. It was the youth in this region that was affected by this. You know about these things better than I do. We gave people freedom, and through that very freedom, we lost the election and we went home. Then these people came and they didn't do anything for the people or the country. The development that you see in the northern province today was created during the era of Mahinda Rajapaksa. The carpet roads, the railway tracks, the electricity system in this region, and all of these things were initiated during that time. You know, before 2005, this region was like an army camp. But after that, it was I who released about 90% of these lands to their original owners. We released lands in the Palali High Security Zone, the Kankasanturai town, the Vasavilan area, until Tondamannaru. I was conducting discussions with Douglas Devananda on how we are going to release the remaining land as well. Along with that, until we reach a decision on the matter, I had agreed to allow these people to cultivate on these lands. But since we lost power, we did not get the opportunity to carry out the rest of the programs. In the future, we will motivate private corporations to come and invest in this region.
Now, while presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Gotabaya Rajapaksa was conducting his political campaign in the northern province, presidential candidate of the National People's Power Movement, Andrakumara Dissanayake, addressed a conference held right here in Colombo today.
Civil activists and political representatives supporting the National People's Power Movement attended the conference.
Politics is heating the election stage, but there's another type of politics that is unfolding in our country. Can this type of politics help develop the country? Can we establish law and order in our country? We have all come forward to achieve a common goal. With political forces lining up, there are other forces struggling to rule the stage. Those who smuggle black money, ethanol, alcohol, pepper have all teamed up. The ultra-rich factions have also joined them. The election stage is divided among two factions. One side is disaster and the other is prosperity, divided among everyone equally. On one side of the political stage are smugglers, and on the other side are the people. On one side you get the oppressors, and on the other side you get those who are being crushed by them.
Meanwhile, the youth seminar of the National People's Power Movement was held at the Vihar Mahadevi Open Air Theatre in Colombo yesterday. The seminar was attended by party members and the youth.
If this country does not have a future, what are you going to build your future upon? If the leaders of this country don't have a vision for the future of this nation, how can they build the future of the youth of this country? To the youth, we would like to remind you that we are ready to change the unstable future that these leaders have created and bring about a stable and clear future for you. We will give the necessary recognition and respect to all your vocations in this country. We will build a future where it wouldn't be just a job, but a way to build this nation. I can assure you that we would not trap the youth in a monotonous routine of waking up at 5, boarding a bus at 7, getting to office at 8, clocking out at 4:30, getting into the bus at 5 and coming back home at 7, watching TV for 2 hours, going to bed and repeating the same routine the next day and the days to come. Instead of having politicians who have been in the fields for several generations, we will encourage youth who love this nation to come forward, have the passion towards serving the people of this nation, and who care for the well-being of the general public to go forward in their journey.
දොරටුව විවෘත කරන්න අපි සූදානම්. සීයාගේ මිනුම් දඩු ගොඩක් වෙනස්. ඒ අතීතයේ මිනුම් දඩු. සමහර වෙලාවට මම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහපු
When I raise a question in Parliament, that person would not even answer to the question. When I ask that question again, the Speaker of Parliament, Karu Jayasuriya, would subtly signal me to leave him alone as he is unstable to answer the question. All of us are growing old and will eventually retire. All of us have a unique way of retiring. We want to spend our retirement with our grandchildren, but the others, their retirement plans is different. Their life revolves around governing this nation. We included this in our manifesto, that no one above the age of 70 can contest in any election. We are even considering to bring this age even lower.
ලංකාවේ කිසිදු මැතිවරණයකට තරඟ කරන්න අවස්ථාවක් නොදෙන බවට ප්‍රසාදයි.
Now this year we have one of the highest number of presidential candidates that are contesting for this election throughout the history of Sri Lanka. Of course, will this number reduce in the coming days? Will some of these candidates drop out by chance? There were certain rumours circulating among the general public. Speaking at a media briefing today, presidential candidate Mahesh Senanayake expressed the following views.
During this particular presidential election up to November 16, there is no way that I step down. But there are some elements who do not want these alternative forces or the third force, they call it the way that they call it, to be coming up in the ladder in terms of politics in this country. So they make a lot of allegations and stories to say that we never get together and some of them are going to get dropped out.
It's a view that is being expressed that independent candidate, even in the instance, let's say for instance you win, that you will not be able to lead the country because you don't have a party as such to back you up where a government to form a government. In such an instance, what I mean, how would you?
When you look at the constitution of this country, it clearly says the president of the country has to be an independent to start with. But there is a practical situations might arise for next 4 or 5 months because the whoever win or when I win especially, I'll have to run the country for 3 to 4 months till the next general election being held. But President has enough powers to exhibit and have authority to run and ensure the country is running or functioning smoothly and effectively whatever the authority is given to him.
We have not given the domestic economy its due place in 71 years. If we are to act now, even after a delay, we must protect the local farmer from the international prices. In addition to the security in terms of terrorism, we have also created the plan to protect the economy of the country. If we take a look at the agriculture, we say that the cost of each product that can be grown locally be considered and the import taxes be adjusted as at least 3 times the cost. We were appointed in 2015 to look into large-scale fraud and corruption. We did our job to the letter. Where are those reports? Those reports could be of the President or the Prime Minister. They have dismantled all of these institutions. They have spent millions for these and now they are inactive. If any candidate is saying that this person will be made the Prime Minister if he wins, that is morally wrong, and on the other hand it is not in accordance with the Constitution. There is a clause in the Constitution that says that the person who can amass the confidence of a majority in Parliament should be invited by the person who is elected as the President.
බහුතර විශ්වාසයේ දිනාගත හැකියි විශ්වාස කරන පුද්ගලයාට තමයි ආරාධනා කළ යුත්තේ අගමැති විය යුත්තේ කවුද කියලා.
Of course, now you heard certain views expressed by some of the candidates contesting for the presidential election this year. One thing that cannot be forgotten is that the Elections Commission is a key stakeholder in the presidential elections this year. As usual, the Elections Commission is vested with the duty and responsibility of conducting a free and fair election. Here are some of the views expressed by a member of the Elections Commission, Professor Ratnajeevan Hool. He was speaking at a conference held in Jaffna yesterday.
You have the option of casting 3 preferential votes. You must be mindful to make the numbers 1, 2 and 3 for the votes to be legal. My opinion is that no candidate will win the first round, so you must think wisely and use your second and third preferential votes. Do not refrain from casting your vote, because this will be the scale that will decide the future of this country.
Violation of election laws. It's not something new for us here in Sri Lanka. Of course, election monitoring organizations spoke a bit about election law violations happening during the run-up to this presidential elections. They made these remarks at 2 press conferences held over the course of today.
The Director General of the Samurdhi has been ignoring the directives of the Election Commission and continuing to hand out appointments and carry out work. We have consistently received reports of this. If we receive evidence with regard to this, we will definitely take legal action against him. The army has no political jurisdiction, but on the invitation of the Elections Commission, the tri-forces often get involved in the political process. In such a context, if someone is using the army commander with or without his knowledge to enhance their campaign, that is a huge issue. If this happened without the knowledge of the army commander, he should make a clear statement. It is his reputation that is getting hurt through this. We have identified a few people and institutions that prevent the carrying out of peaceful, just elections. 3 ministries, the Urban Development Authority, they create issues in having free and fair elections. The Samurdhi Director General is at this point not needed by the Elections Commission. Can they hand out lands like this during the period of elections? Meanwhile, Dr. Anuruddha Padeniya, while being the president of the JMOA, is shamelessly carrying out his political activities. We urge the Commission to immediately act to remove all officials of the JMOA from election activities. We saw recently posters that covered the whole of the Puttalam district. For the poster, the SLPP had used the image of Army Commander Shavendra Silva. 4 papers are promoting him. At the moment, 1 candidate is using the commander of the Sri Lanka Army for promotional activities. The Secretary to the Ministry of Defence is silent, so we kindly request the Army Commander to announce to the public if he is not part of this.
Thank you, Shalan, for that very comprehensive report. We will be now crossing over for a short commercial break. Do stay with News First.
Vijay Muni's answer to Dilan.
දිලාන් තමයි මේ මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන ජනාධිපතිතුමාට නම්බර්ස් තියෙනවා කියලා එතුමා ඊළඟ ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා කරනවා කියලා
අපේ රටේ මෑත ඉතිහාසයෙන් අනාගත පරපුරට ගත හැකි පාඩම් මොනවාද?
තමන් උපන් රට ගැන හිතලා කිසි කෙනෙකුගේ බලපෑම් වලට බලයට ධනයට නිලයට යටත් වෙන්නේ නැතුව මොන නිවැරදි තීරණ ගන්නවා. මෙයා මේ සිංහල අරයාදෙම ඒක ඕනේ. ඒක ඕනේ. අවංකව රට හදන්න වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තියෙන්නේ කාගේද? ඒ වැඩපිළිවෙල ගැන හොයලා නිවැරදි වැඩපිළිවෙල කොතනද තියෙන්නේ? එතෙන්ට අපි කවුරුත් එකතු වෙන්න.
Welcome back to the news. The visuals that you're witnessing right now are broadcast through a mobile cam, and this is done for the first time in Sri Lanka. Now taking a look at a story that made your headlines this evening. The Met Department predicts heavy showers in many parts of the island tonight. The Met Department further stated that the wind speeds could increase between 50 to 60 kilometers in the Nuwara, Badulla and Mathale districts. Heavy showers that battered the island during the past few days has adversely affected many people across the island.
According to the Disaster Management Centre, heavy showers and floods across the country have affected 6,000 people. The Puttalam district suffered the most due to the adverse weather. The spill gates of the Anamaduwa-Kachimaduwa reservoir have been opened due to heavy rains that affected the area since last afternoon. According to our correspondent, many low-lying areas have been affected by this. 4 of the 6 spill gates of the Tabua reservoir have also been opened. Areas including Tilladia, Ratmalyaya and Al-Khasib have been inundated. Daily activities of many residents of these areas have been affected as the entry roads to their villages remain inundated. 2 spill gates of the Rajangania reservoir have been opened. Water is being released from the reservoir at 1200 cubic feet per second. According to our correspondent, the 2 spill gates of the Angamo reservoir have also been opened. Meanwhile, the Department of Fisheries warned fishermen against going out to sea in small fishing vessels. Assistant Director of the Department of Fisheries, Padma Priyatisera, said that fishermen currently at sea in the Bay of Bengal region should remain vigilant. Our correspondent said that many one-day fishing vessels had refrained from going out to sea in Gaul, Hikkaduwa and Dodanduwa as per the instructions of the Met Department. Sea waves washed ashore along the Matara-Colombo main road. Sea waves had hit the road last evening as well. Employees of the Gaul Municipal Council removed the garbage and water that remains on the streets. Meanwhile, the Road Development Authority removed the water and sand accumulated along the Gaul-Colombo road. A section of the Sinigama temple had collapsed due to heavy showers in the area. The Kandy-Jaffna main road was inundated in the Mathare town this afternoon. Flow of traffic along the road was affected. According to our correspondent, heavy rains battered the Mathare town throughout the day.
We are now joined by Newsfirst Deshan Gonawala with the weather forecast. Over to you, Deshan.
Thank you very much. Now, welcome here to the Newsfirst Weather Center as we take a look at the weather situation in the country at the moment. And I'm sure, as most of you have experienced over the last few days, Sri Lanka is currently experiencing some adverse weather. Heavy rains, a great degree rather, of cloud cover have also been the order of the day. Now, if you look here at the map, you can see from the satellite images a bit of a disturbance over some parts of the island. Now, the current weather is attributed to a disturbance in the Bay of Bengal over the southern part of the island, as you can see just over here in this area marked in red. Now, moving on, this weather, as you can see, will also particularly affect the southern province, the eastern province up here. I mean, will also to some degree affect the central province, the Uva province, and also the Wayamba, Sabragamua and western provinces. Now, particularly in the eastern province over here, you can see, and you can expect rather, and in the Uva province as well, rains of about 100 to 150 millimeters over the next few days. Now, the northwestern province is also expected to see about 100 millimeters of rain, and of course a lot of this rain is expected to be accompanied by great degrees of lightning and thunder as well, so it is advisable for you to remain indoors or take the necessary precautions. Now, wind speeds have also been increasing over the last few days. Over the land mass of Sri Lanka, the winds have blown towards the western side. There is also a very strong winds over the seas, over the bottom of the island from Puttalam all the way to Pothuil, and these winds are at about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, and again it is advisable that precautions are taken. The Met Department of course advises that everyone who does have to go through their daily lives take the necessary precautions and avoid going outdoors when necessary. Before we leave, let's have a look at the forecast for the coming few days.
We thank Deshan Gonawala for bringing us that very comprehensive weather update. Now, in more local news, a Vietmaga conference was held in Mount Lavinia yesterday. Retired Rear Admiral Mohan Vijay Vikrama expressed these views on presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
He is not a politician who would boast. He is an excellent official. He will definitely solve the main problems that this country faces. You do not need money to do that. You don't need money to rid the country of drugs. You don't need money to stop the underworld. And you don't need money to stop corruption. You don't need money to create a good society. These things can be fixed as soon as he becomes president.
A media briefing was convened today by disabled soldiers at the office of the Democratic National Movement with the participation of Health Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne.
Today, Gotabaya Rajapaksa goes to Anuradhapura and says the war heroes who were sentenced to death will be released. Is this included in his manifesto? In 2000, nearly 100,000 soldiers were stranded in Elephant Pass. Back in 2000, there was no Gotabaya Rajapaksa in Sri Lanka. It was General Janaka Pereira and Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca who saved us. I have 11 stitches on my chest. I challenged Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was inside a bulletproof car at the time, to show the wound he sustained on his arm during the bomb explosion at Pittala Junction, which left bloodstains on his shirt.
පුළුවන් නම් එයාගේ ෂර්ට් එකේ ලේ තියෙන එකේ පුළුවන් නම් එයාගේ තුවාල පෙන්නන්න. මම අභියෝග කරනවා ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂට.
අපි අරමුණකින් We initiated the protest at Fort, citing several demands. Minister Sajith Premadasa came to see us, listened to what we had to say, and left the premises. Just a few minutes after that, Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived at the scene. He came and promised that he will fulfill our demands in 3 months after the end of the war. They could not fulfill our demands for 6 years. How can they solve our issues just 3 months after coming into power? They gave us nothing. Mahinda Rajapaksa promised to give the parents of all war heroes 3,000 rupees. However, until date, my parents have received nothing, not a single cent. I have spent almost 2.5 lakhs for leg surgery.
ලක්ෂ දෙකමාරක් දීලා කකුල හදාගත්ත ඇතේ සල්ලි දීලා අපේ අපි මෙතෙන්ට
We did all of this with the hope that our soldiers will be released. Minister Rajitha will bear witness to this statement. We will release them. We will not let go of this matter. We will not give up either. We will make sure we receive a salary until death.
පස්සට යන්නෙත් නෑ ජීවිතාන්තය දක්වා වැටුප අපි හදාගන්නවා ඔතන මේ දෙන්නෙක් අපේ
The death sentence imposed on the 2 soldiers were based on the wrongdoings they committed during the war. The court verdict was given in 2016. However, this was based on the charge that they killed members of the LTTE. Our government made such a decision not on the charge that they killed members of the LTTE, but on the charge that they killed innocent third-party victims.
මිනිස්සු තුන්වෙනි පාර්ශ්වයකට මහානි කරපු කට්ටිය.
A media briefing was held at the Joint Operational Centre of Gotabaya Rajapaksa this morning.
He is ready to implement his manifesto. A special place has been given for national security. As the Minister of Human Rights back then, I was able to work very closely with him during the war. I always called foreign ambassadors, permanent representatives from the United Nations. We also make sure that divisional secretariats, administrative officers also attend these meetings. Once a foreign ambassador suggested that we transport an energy bar to Sri Lanka. Gotabaya Rajapaksa did not allow this. He said that he doubted this bar was consumed by the LTTE organization. When the army decided to visit Kilinochchi, we wanted to remove certain permanent representatives from there. Gotabaya Rajapaksa wanted me to speak to these people and vacate the area. I was given a week. They arrived in Vaunia within a week. Then the army captured Kilinochchi. He made the right decision and acted on it.
අවශ්‍ය තීරණ අරගෙන එතුමා කටයුතු කරා.
වර්තමාන ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ භූමිකාව කොයි වගේද මේ වන විට?
හැබැයි එතුමා කිව්වොත් කිව්වා. එතුමා කියලා තියෙනවා එතුමා නිර්පාක්ෂිකව ඉන්නවා කියලා. නිර්පාක්ෂික කියන වචනේ අපි තමුන්නාන්සල ඔක්කොම දන්නවනේ මොකද්ද කියලා.
නිදහස් පුජ්‍යල සන්නාගේ තනතුරු පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කරන කවද?
දැන්
Yes, discussions are ongoing. They will make an official statement. I don't want to make any comments since discussions are underway.
කොහොමද ඒක කරන්න කියලා මොකද මේ වෙලාවේ දැන් සාකච්ඡා කරමින් පවතින නිසා මම කැමති නෑ කියන්න.
I think as the General Secretary of the Alliance, Mahinda Amaravira, and Secretary of the Freedom Party, Dayasiri Jayasekara, holding discussions. Nimal Siripala de Silva is also involved.
Dayasiri Jayasekara මැතිතුමා ඒ කණ්ඩායමක් ඉන්නෝ. ඒගොල්ලෝ සාකච්ඡා කරගෙන යනවා. නිමල් සිරිපාල සිල්වා මැතිතුමත් ඒවට සම්බන්ධයි.
Now, President Maithripala Sirisena has returned to the country after his official tour of Japan. This evening, the President posted a tweet on his private Twitter account. In his tweet, the President said that he prefers active politics over spending time leisurely.
MP Dilan Pereira responded to statements made by MP Vijit Vijay Munisoisa. Let's take a look at the debate that ensued between the two on our segment, The Big Fight.
Dilan Pereira.
Appachi malo uge kata hakara kaanu katen Mahinda mahattayata dos kiyanda uge gedara rasiya patakata vitarai ma visala polagek aawa.
Just as he started to scold Mahinda Rajapaksa, a snake came into his house. He grabbed his sarong, jumped over chairs and came back and then said, "We are village people and that there is nothing to fear." Now we just have to watch. If they say bad things about Mahinda and Gotabaya Rajapaksa, even serpents will attack.
Vijayamuni Soisa.
දිලාන් තමයි මේ මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන ජනාධිපතිතුමාට නම්බර්ස් තියෙනවා කියලා එතුමා ඊළඟ ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා කරනවා කියලා.
Dilan is the one who destroyed this party by telling President Maithripala that he has the numbers and that he can become the next presidential candidate. I was living in Badulla. It was when he passed his law exams and was pushing around a Volkswagen car in Badulla that he was brought and made the chairman of the Badulla Taxpayers Association. Then he went to Chandrika Bandaranayake and she told me, Vijit, I have spoken to my mother, make this guy an organizer. I said, let's go, but that he should bend and worship Mrs. Bandaranayake. He did not do that, so I pushed him on his back, then he bent and worshipped her. Madam Bandaranayake looked up and down. I told Mrs. Bandaranayake that he will be of value as he was a young lawyer. She said nothing and took him on board. She then said, Aryasena, give Dilan a district organizer position. That's all I will say, nothing more.
දිස්ත්‍රික් සංවිධායක තනතුරක් දෙන්න කිව්වා දිලාන්ට. මම මෙච්චරයි කියන්නේ වෙන මොකුත් කියන්නේ.
We now cross over for a short commercial break. Stay with News First.
ආගමකින් පුජ්‍යලයක් හොඳම සත්‍යයට පත් කරන නිසා කවදාත් ධර්ම විතරට මොන ආගමෙන් වුණත් හැම ආගමක පුජ්‍යලය හොඳ සත්‍යය ආරක්ෂා කරනවා. ඒ වගේ ඒ ආගමේ සහජීවනතාවත්ව සමානාත්මතාවත්ව කරුණාවෙන් මෛත්‍රියෙන් මුදිතා උපේක්ෂා ආදී ගුණ ධර්ම ඇතුව කටයුතු කරන පිරිසක් වශයෙන් මේ ජනතා රටේ සේවීය යුතුයි.
Welcome back. You are with Primetime News on TV1. The visuals that you are witnessing right now are being broadcast from the mobile cam technology. Taking a look back at some news from here at home. Now issuing a media release, State Minister Ranjan Ramanayake has posed several questions to presidential candidate of the SLPP, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The State Minister said if the presidential candidate is unwilling to come forward for an open debate, he must answer these questions to the general public.
The following are the questions that were issued to the media today by State Minister Ranjan Ramanayake. When will the remaining balance of the 9.1 million rupees used to construct the D.A. Rajapaksa Museum be paid to the government? Do you accept the allegations that claim you purchased the Tangol Bay Hotel with the rupees 5 billion funds you received as commission by providing the land to the Shangri-La outright? Why have you not revealed the names of the suspects involved in the murder of Lasantha Wickramatunge? Do you not possess any information regarding the abduction and harassment of journalists Prageeth Eknaligoda, Poddala Jayantha, Keith Noya and Namal Pereira? Why do you not reveal details about the abduction of businessmen and security officers in white vans? What is your view about the income and expenses of the Api Venuwen Api Ranaviru Fund not being audited? Why did you not punish those responsible for the shooting at Ratupaswala that killed 3 individuals? Since Mahinda Rajapaksha, Vimal Veeravansa and Keheli Arambukwella accepted that a land at Sri Saddharma Mawatha in Colombo was provided to the Tawheed Jamaat organisation and that benefits were paid through the Defence Ministry, do you also accept part of the responsibility of the April attacks? Is constructing a tank to rear sharks at the expenses borne by Gamini Patirana, who maintained the aquarium at Diyatawena, not a bribe? Should you not explain to the public why you left the country during the war claiming you were under stress?
There is much controversy surrounding the former head of the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division, retired Senior DIG Ravi Vaidyalankara. After facts were reported to court over a money laundering scandal involving members of his family, he made a statement to the media heavily criticizing the police FCID. Investigations carried out by officers of the police FCID, the institution he once headed, revealed details of connections his family members had with suspects involved in the money laundering case. Here are some of the views expressed regarding this issue.
They went the wrong way from the moment they started. Their objective from the get-go was political victimization. A lady only second to the Attorney General says that she worked to suppress based on political whims and fancies. Then about a week later, a former Solicitor General comes and says the same.
තවත් Solicitor General කෙනෙක් හිටපු ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා in detail he explained how things were handled, how they were given instruction, how they were asked to do wrong thing and how they refused and how he lost his opportunity to even to get a promotion as a result. ඊයේ අපි දැක්කා මේ
We saw how the head of the FCID, which this government illegally established, came out and confessed how this institution was established and how it was operated. I can't remember an era similar to this where the law was bent to this extent in the history of this country. There were dark times, but never similar to how things are taken for a joke now.
විහිළුවක් වගේ අරගෙන නීතිය මේ විදිහට අවභාවිතා කරපු යුගයක් අපිට තිබුණා.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ වෙනුවෙන් කතා කරපු
The FCID's former boss who spoke on behalf of Gotabaya Rajapaksa was removed because there were investigations against him. His real story is now coming out. It turns out thieves were living with bigger thieves. While trying to hide details on how the money was laundered in the MIG deal, he also tried to cover up on how another American national came to the country, carried out a scam through a newly established company together with his wife. It is when the court was taking this up for consideration that he decided to clean Gotabaya Rajapaksa and leave the country. The boss sometimes falls ill, sometimes he delays hearings, sometimes the judges are changed. So when the boss does that, even his supporters start avoiding the judiciary in the same manner. That is what Ravi Vaidyalankar is doing.
ඒ තමයි රවි විද්‍යාලංකාගාරගේ වැඩපිළිවෙල.
A group of civil activists and representatives of women's rights groups lodged a complaint at the Elections Commission earlier today.
They made the complaint citing the prevailing gas shortage in the country.
Now the gas shortage has become a serious issue. This has happened after the 241 rupee price reduction at the Cost of Living Committee last week. This gas shortage worsened gradually. 60% of all consumers in this country are gas consumers. Only Litro Gas and Laps Gas are the suppliers in this market. Both these companies have failed to meet the demands of the public in a satisfactory manner. Only 20 days are left until the election. They don't issue Litro Gas for the yellow cylinder. This is another issue. But nobody speaks of this on the election stage. A private firm and a state entity together have failed to meet the needs of the public. We made the request that an investigation be launched to ensure that this issue is solved at its earliest.
සාමාන්‍ය ආකාරයට ගෑස් සමාජ ජනතාවට ගැනීමට නොහැකි ආකාර වෙනදවල හිගයක් ඇති කරලා තියෙනවා. මේ සම්බන්ධව වහාම විධිමත් පරීක්ෂණයක් කරලා හෙට වෙනකොට මේ රටේ සමස්ත ජනතාවට ගෑස් පරිභෝජන ගැටලුවක් ඇති වෙන තත්ත්වයට පත් කරන්න කියන ඉල්ලීම තමයි කරේ.
The drug menace and the underworld has taken the center stage in the political arena leading up to the presidential election. Following are several views expressed on this regard.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa from one end and Sajith Premadasa from the other end. When you say Sajith, what is the picture painted in your head? When you say Gotabaya, what kind of a picture is painted in your head? Think neutrally about the future of this country if Sajith comes into power, and very carefully think about the fate that would befall upon this country if Gotabaya Rajapaksa comes into power. Gotabaya is a fascist leader. Gotabaya is a leader with a dictatorial mentality.
It is true, drug lords and the underworld of this country will anxiously be waiting for the 17th. They have to be afraid because a law-abiding rule will be in place on the 17th. On a separate note, the fathers and the mothers of this nation can rest easy with a smile on their faces.
Regardless of how much these people boast, in the past when drug peddlers were arrested connected to politicians, it was Mahinda Rajapaksa who went to Negombo by a helicopter to rescue them. It was during Mahinda Rajapaksa's regime that drug trafficking was happening at a major scale. It was his own henchmen who encouraged it. But today they blame others. A country should be built where a safe environment should be provided to the children. No one from the UNP can be vested with that responsibility. We are not ready for a Gonavala Sunil rule yet again. We cannot let this country fall back to a Sotyupali rule.
Who created the Wambota and Julampitiya Amare? Wasn't it under their rule that the underworld was used as a tool to scare the common man, sexually abuse women and kill people?
තමන්ගේ දේවල් හැටියට කාන්තාව දූෂණය කරලා මිනි මලන්න ඉඩ සැලසුවේ ඔයාගේ කාලේ නෙමෙයිද කියලා අපි අහනවා මිත්‍රවරුනි.
With that, it's a wrap of Primetime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Amavi Banagoda.
And I'm Jayamal Ratnayaka. Take care and good night.